Thank you. I am brother. Yeah, I'm brother Christian Kwame Agbodza. I am the chair of the Consensus Study Group, and with me is brother Pigeon Odimengu, who is based in Kenya, who is one of our co-chairs. And welcome to our second session on African Liberation Day. Last week, Brother Pigeon, last Thursday, we dealt with three different topics. Can you remind us what they are, please?
We looked at African economics, education, and health sector in regards to what's the status, whether they are liberated or not. That's what we discussed.
And what was our conclusion, sir?
Our conclusion was very clear that our education system is not yet liberated. Our health system is still dependent on the West, not yet liberated. And our economics is still also actually following the Western systems, so not yet liberated.
Thank you. And so today we are continuing with our discussion on three other topics, making 6 in all. And today's topics are on, Brother Pigeon again, today's topics are on?
We are looking today in regards to Africa military or warfare preparation in terms of our military setup. We're also looking at Africa politics and Africa religious / spiritual aspect, whether they are liberated or not.
Excellent. So those are the topics for today. And these ALD sessions are more of presentations from our brothers and sisters who are experts. And so there may not be enough room for discussion. However, if we want to discuss the issues that they've raised, we can put together or we can have another session on a coming Saturday, so we can have the discussions. So today's session is more on hearing from our brothers and sisters who have looked into the issues that we are about to discuss. So we have Brother Nkrumah Kafra, who is going to present on religion, but his audio is yet to be connected. Brother Pigeon, I believe you are presenting on the military. You've done some research on the African military situation, and you are able to present on that. And then the third session, which is so we've got religion, we've got the military, and then
politics.
And politics. And we have a brother, you said, who is an opposition leader in Zimbabwe. Is that correct?
Yeah, but he's not yet in.
He's not yet here. Okay. So the presenters are all not here, but we are ready for the presentation. So let me welcome those of you who are here. Brother Taiwo, welcome. Sister Marsha, welcome. Sister Tapua, welcome. Brother Sean, welcome. I've already welcomed Brother Nkrumah, and then you, Brother Pigeon. Thank you. So whilst we wait for the presenters, we can kick off with our own discussions. And so let's open the floor
I'm here.
for commentaries. Yeah, Brother Pigeon, are you happy to start? I know you are there, but are you happy to start for us on the military?
Yeah, based on our timing and everything else, I'm happy to start, as somebody will be helping me to do admission of members coming in.
Excellent. I shall do that. So you do the presentation for us on the military, and I will keep an eye on the waiting room. Thank you. Brother Joseph, welcome. Brother Joseph is joining us from the African Caribbean island of Grenada. So those of us on this Zoom, on this ALD, are from different parts of Africa and the diaspora. I am myself in England at the moment. Thank you. Yes, Brother Pigeon, off you go.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. From my side, I'll be looking at African military aspect. And the key issue is that the key question is accessing whether the our military systems are yet liberated. Because if you have to protect, liberate, and unify Africa, we must have actually a liberated military. Because a military that's not liberated will not either protect and safeguard Africa. So in my brief presentation, I'll actually look at few aspects in terms of the statistics on African military status. And I'll also be going further a bit to do a comparative analysis between our military versus the military in the other continents, and then have a call for action on what do we need to do to have a liberated military. So basically, this is a research I did some times back, a brief research I did some times back for the purpose of actually ensuring that we know the military checkup. So the word military is actually originated from Latin based on my little research, and came from the word miles and milite, which means a soldier. It also went further to French, which brought the word militaire. Then lately, it became in English to be the word military. So if you check the clear aspect on military, I looked at the military aspect in Africa in terms of its number and its spending. These are research that I did some time back ago. So according to Stockholm International Peace and Research Institute, in a report that they published in 24th Monday, that was April 2023, in Africa, cumulated military spending actually fell by 5.3% to what you call $39.4 billion. You look at it later, the whole Africa spending was actually going at $39.4 billion. Well, if you look at comparative analysis later, you realize that the United States, as our own country, spends $700 and something billion for their military manpower alone. And this is the whole Africa that is spending was actually 39.4 billion. So the report indicates that military spending in Africa, especially the North African countries, had reached around $19.1 billion. That was down 3.2% compared to their spending in 2021. In the sub-regions, the reason why I'm sharing the expenditure of military aspect is in order for us to understand how prepared are we to prepare our military. How much are we investing out of our billions and trillions of budgets per country to work on our military? So in the sub-region, Algeria and Morocco actually accounted to 74% of overall spending. So it's very clear Algeria and Morocco are spending a lot in terms of their military. The Western Sahara conflict, which has pitted Morocco against Algerian back Polisario Front independent fighters since 1975, is the main catalyst for a new arms race between the two. So you realize that Algeria and Morocco's military spending moving to almost 74% was like their preparation in terms of what to safeguard their territories, or the so-called Western Sahara conflicted territory. Now, in 2022, Algeria military spending fell by 3.7%. That was around 9.1 billion. Then in sub-Saharan Africa, if you check the spending, the spending fell by 7.3% to what we call 20.3 billion. So the whole so-called sub-Saharan Africa, which composed of so many countries, will only spend 20.3 billion per year for their military. And this was mainly decreased due to the drop in spending on Nigeria. Nigeria's spending for their military had actually dropped by then by 38%. And also South Africa's spending had also dropped by 8.4%. So Ethiopia, on the other hand, had increased their spending, and this was during the war between the Tigris and the rest. So their spending had increased by almost 88% in 2022 to bring it to almost 1 billion spending per year. The report that was also reviewed by SIFRI report point out that global military spending had increased by 3.7% in 2022 to a record of around 2.24 trillion. The whole world had spent in their military spending $2.2 trillion, while the whole of Africa was spending only $38 billion, and the whole world was spending $2.2 trillion. And this was actually caused by some few issues in regard to the war in Ukraine and the Russian war that increased the percentage of spending. The United States and China, India, and Saudi Arabia were the top 5 spenders. So US is spending highly, China is spending highly, Russia is spending highly, and India is spending highly alongside Saudi Arabia. And this was accounting to 63% of the global military spending. So 4 countries spending total to 63% of the global military spending. That's over 1 trillion of what those countries invest on their military aspect. And so Europe saw the largest annual increase in spending. That was after actually the Russia war. Now, I did analysis a bit on our strength in terms of numbers, and this is the research, and this is the data which is available under the globalfirepower.com. And you go to their website, they always publish updated military strength per country. And when I look a bit, I looked at so far the top spending countries in terms of the military, and not only that, the total military personnel. That would be my interest in this aspect. How many people do you have per country for military personnel? And my analysis will be focusing on the two aspects. Not the country, the amount of spending, and the total military power. So realize like Algeria is having 465,000 military personnel, and they're spending 9.9 billion. Nigeria is also following by 215, spending 3.3 billion per year. That's dollars. Morocco is having 375 and spending 1.0 billion. Now, Egypt is the country with the highest military personnel in terms of numbers in Africa. And they are having 1.2 million personnel, and they're spending 4.3. You see, so even Nigeria can be spending more, because Nigeria having 215 million personnel and 215,000 personnel are spending 3.5 billion per year. And now Egypt, the 1.2, which is almost 4 times, spend just slightly above Nigeria. Their analysis of Libya with 135,000, South Africa and Kenya spending 1.1 with 50,000 personnel. So Kenya, that is sending people to Haiti, is only having 50,000 personnel militaries, and yet they are spending only 1 billion and taking the action to Haiti. So Tunisia is here, and all this analysis is just in terms of the numbers of our military personnel in terms of spending. Uganda is here with 58,000 and spending actually $439 million per year. So this covers many countries, like Ivory Coast is spending 510 million with 32,000, and Ethiopia is having 150,000 military personnel. So you look at it, DRC Congo is having only 150,000 military personnel, and their spending is only close to 300 million per year. Ghana is having 14,000 military personnel by that time, and they've been divided either to the paramilitary and those other forces. These are the numbers here, and they are only spending 289. Now, if you go down a bit, you look at countries like Somalia, Central Republic of Africa, all these countries are being put here. But now I did a comparative analysis. The total number of military personnel in Africa, I don't know if I summarize somewhere down there, is totaling to close to over 10 million military personnel. Now come to comparative analysis with the countries like China. China is having 3 million military personnel, 3.1, the whole China. And their spending is 230 billion per year, while the total spending of Africa is only $39.9 billion. Now, look, these are the top countries. Now, look at the country like India. India is having the highest military personnel because of their population, equivalent to China. India is having 5.1 million military personnel, and they're spending only 54 billion. Now look at the US. US is having a military personnel slightly half of the China personnel, 1.8, and slightly higher than Egypt, that's having 1.2. But look at their spending, $761 billion per year, almost 3 times what China spent per year for their military personnel. Russia is having 1.3 military personnel. That's close to equivalent to what Egypt is having. And they're spending 82 billion, which means in terms of the investment in the military personnel, it's still low. And you see something like UK is having only 231, and the spending is also, so UK is having 31,000 military personnel, but their spending goes to billions. Their spending of UK alone is more than the spending of the whole Africa in terms of their spending. And whole Africa is having over 10 million military personnel. So that's the analysis a bit I was interested to check out. And this is a statistic that show how the spending or the expenses of Africans and African countries spendings from 2012 moving forward, from 2001 moving forward, how it has been dropping or moving up, and the number of personnel are along. There's also a comparison on how the military personnel of the top 15 countries spend. And you see in the top 15 countries, US is actually accounting for 39% spending of the whole world. Then they are followed by, of course, Israel, 28%, India 17%, China 9%, and Russia 3%. So is having 1% of the total military personnel in the whole world. Russia is accounting to 3.9, India 3.6, Saudi Arabia 3.3, UK 3.1, Germany 2.5, France 2.4. So that's basically how the whole world looks like. And these are total manpower available. China is having actually 41% of manpower. And this is close to India, which is having 35%. So in terms of this actually is a data that has been improved a bit, because if you see in the previous data, China was having almost 3.8, and India was having 5.1. So if they check all along, you realize China and India is actually accounting for close to 76%. Now they are coming to compare Nigeria. This actually excluding Kenya, Africa as a continent. If Africa was to be compared as a whole continent as Africa, Africa could be accounting to almost 80% of the total military manpower. So those are the few issues here. But you also look at the military bases in Africa. You realize that for decades, Africa has been teeming with foreign military personnel. They are still training our military officers. Like even the agreement that Ruto made with the US, actually there's a lot of money that is coming in terms of supporting the military manpower of Kenya. And if we can read it from the data I have, is that America is donating 16 US manufactured helicopters to Kenya. America is also sending 150 armored security vehicles to Kenya. And they're also sending 650 million, that's Kenya shillings, which is around $6 million US for counter-terrorism measures in Kenya. They're also going to spend around 929 million Kenya shillings to modernize Kenya police services. Basically, this tells you that the whole military or manpower system of Africa or Kenya at large is actually controlled by the West and is being donated by the West. So there are so many foreign military bases in Africa, where we have over 11 foreign military bases in the Horn of Africa, according to 2019 report by the Institute of Security Study. And the US and its allies such as France, Germany, Japan, Italy, Belgium, India make up the big chunk of the military personnel. Among the Horn of Africa nations, none has garnered more attention than the world power than Djibouti. Djibouti holds at least 8 foreign military bases, and those bases include the China bases, France bases, Japan bases, and the US bases. The primary reason Djibouti's location of the southern entrance to the Red Sea is acting as a bridge between Africa and Middle East. So they are much interested to put their military personnel there. And some of the reasons they are claiming for their military personnel is resources and geopolitics. You see, they know Africa is rich of these minerals, so they are also looking at tapping to our resources, and that's what they do. They also do it for colonialism and control. And on the aspect, if you check here, there are so many military personnel that are highlighted in this map here. So we have so many countries here, like Uganda is having 17. US has sent troops to hand for Lord Resistance Army there. So they have around 17 military bases. Algeria 1, Mali 2, Nigeria 3, Guinea 4, Burkina Faso 5, Sierra Leone 6, Liberia 7, 8, Ghana 8, Nigeria 9, Egypt 11 military bases, Central African Republic 12 military bases. So we have so many, including Ethiopia 14. All those are military bases in Africa. And the countries in the next screen here, the screen I'm sharing here, the countries with the yellow are countries without military bases in Africa. But the countries in red are countries with military bases in Africa. So these are the statistics we have. And this now is the basic, simple data I wanted to share to help us actually arrive at an analysis whether is our military liberated. And I think from the data, it's very clear that yes, we spend little, and also we rely a lot from the West, which still shows us that the military in Africa is not liberated. Thank you. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Yes, Brother Pigeon, thank you very much for your presentation on the military situation in Africa, and then the comparison you made with other nations, and the comparison that you made basically compares the entirety of Africa with China, US, and so on. The assumption there is that we are assuming that if Africa was a united nation, one united nation of Black people, as Brother Kafra would like to remind us all the time. So if Africa was a Black nation and it had a military, what would be its strength? And we are told that it's just over 10 million which is more than the military of other countries. Now, so thank you very much for Brother Pigeon for your presentation. We'll now go to the second presentation. So we have 3 presentations today. So we have the second presentation of Brother Nkrumah Kafra, if he's ready. And that will be on spirituality. And then we'll hear the third presentation on African politics. There's a brother from Zimbabwe who would do a presentation for us. So, Brother Kafra, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Like,
excellent.
I don't want to say ready, but somebody.
Good. So after we hear all the presentations, we'll open the floor for discussion. Discussion on military, on politics, on spirituality, and anyone who wants to speak is free to speak on any of them, or basically share their views on all 3 if they want, and so on and so forth. Just to remind everyone, we are the Consent System Study Group, and we are hosting 25th of May 2024, the second of our African Liberation Day celebrations. So welcome if you are with us, and thank you very much for joining us. So let's hear Brother Kafra Nkrumah on African. Is it spirituality or religiosity, Brother Kafra?
Well, I can start off by saying for ancient Black people, spirituality and religion are identical.
Okay, so thank you. So Brother Kafra is going to speak on spirituality. For those of you who have not joined our Thursday meetings, Brother Kafra did a presentation for us where, he had a discussion with us where he made the point that Africans are not human beings. So that is something that we plan to have a session on a Saturday. Are Africans human beings or not? So that's a separate discussion which Brother Kafra is going to present for us, and I will open the floor for discussion. So Brother Kafra, thank you. Off you go.
Yes, well, connected with what you just said about whether we are human beings or not, I said people in general, we are not human beings, not just African people, but people in general, you're not human beings, right?
Yes.
And that human concept is a part of our being, but we are not humans. But let me get on to the point of spirituality.
So we'll discuss that another Saturday. Thank you very much for correcting me. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, first thing, what I want to say is that spirituality encompasses every aspect of someone's life. So when I hear somebody saying that we are going to talk about spirituality today, and the next time we are going to talk about education or whatever else, what I'm saying is that everything is spiritual. Whether you're talking about war, whether you're talking about family, every single thing is spiritual. It is the Western mind that separates the spirit from physical. But for us, for Black people, for ancient Black people, the physical is part of your spirit. So it doesn't matter what you're talking about spirituality. All right? Now, everybody has a spiritual anatomy. All right? You have a spiritual anatomy. Just like how your physical body has an anatomy, you have a brain, heart, penis, feet, whatever, your spirit has an anatomy. In other words, your spirit is not something that is homogeneous. The problem is due to ignorance, people just say, oh, you have a spirit, but they don't know about it. So they can't even start to begin to talk about the different parts of your spirit. And it is very important because what has been happening to the world is no different from thinking with your toes. All right? And this Western world has led us in that direction about thinking with your toes. And what I'm talking about is that your emotions come from the lowest part of your spirit. And people have this tendency to think with their emotions. I like this. I don't like this. I feel like doing that. You're thinking with your emotions. And if you're making decisions with your emotions, you're in trouble because your emotions is not the part of your spirit that you want to make decisions with. So, most people think with their toes because they think with their emotions. Is everybody following what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, brother, we are listening. Yeah, go ahead. You do your presentation. We'll come to discussions later. Thank you.
Right. So, I really wanted to focus on health in terms of spirituality. I wanted to focus on everyone's health because even understanding whatever lectures we have on what is going on in the world, your brain has to understand it. Your brain has to have a perception of what is going on. And if our brains are not functioning properly, we are going to be spinning top in mud. In other words, there are people that listening to this right now, but they're not really getting the essence of what is being said. All right. So my take on this is that the first step that anyone can take towards their spiritual growth and development is the care of your physical health, which is part of your spirit. Right? So I would really like to focus on health and people's, and what I want to say is that your physical body does not really care about where you get the nutrients from. It needs certain nutrients. Whether you get it from eating meat, whether you get it from eating vegetables, your physical body needs to get these nutrients. And if it doesn't get these nutrients, then you sort of start malfunctioning. Okay? Now, meat is not a very efficient means of providing nutrients to your body. Okay? Because when meat is broken down, you have a lot of excess toxins. You will get the nutrients, you'll get your amino acids, you'll get your sugars, you'll get whatever carbohydrates, etc. But because of all the toxins that is produced when you eat meat, it's not a very efficient thing. And these toxins in turn go on to damage your organs, your liver, your heart, your kidneys. And that is our problem today. We're not thinking clearly because of our health. I always tell people that no one is stupid. People, we have a tendency to call each other stupid. Other races say African people, they don't know what's wrong with us. Well, but it has nothing to do with being stupid. It is our health. And I mentioned last time that our brains were damaged by all this enslavement and colonialism and neo-colonialism and whatever else that oppression that Black people have passed through. The point is our brains were damaged. So for us to do anything properly in life, we have to heal our physical bodies. Your spirit depends on it. For your spirit to function properly, we have to heal our physical bodies, or else we will stay enslaved for the rest of our lives. Because, if you can't think properly, you can't understand what is going on in the world, right? And it is said that Black people look on and owe at every other race that is doing well and wonder, well, what is wrong with us? Why can't we do what other people do in this world? What is wrong with Black people? And basically, what has happened is that we have given up our magic tortoise. And our magic tortoise is our spirituality, our voodoo. To put it in plain understanding, our voodoo. All right? The religion, the spirituality that I practice, we don't call it voodoo, but basically that's what it is. Even talking about military might, right? I'm trying to show people the importance of your spirituality. Even talking about military might, because that was the topic of discussion just now. Military. I want you all to remember that it was a few Haitian men with rusty cutlasses and one or two sawed-off shotguns that was able to defeat the mighty French. Under Napoleon, as a matter of fact, Napoleon didn't have the name Bonaparte. It's when he met the Haitians that he got the name Bonaparte, because the Haitians make him Bonaparte. Okay? We were able to defeat the French, the British, and the Spanish. I mean, I hope you all could take a little joke, right? We were able to defeat the French, the British, and the Spanish, all in one fell swoop. A few Haitian men with rusty cutlasses. We defeated all of those major nations. Do you understand how we were able to do that? It is our voodoo. Bookman, the voodoo priest from Jamaica, who was in Haiti at the time, he was enslaved in Haiti, that did the rituals that were able to defeat the French, the British, and the Spanish. All right, but the problem with Haiti and why Haiti is in the state that it is in today is because after all of that blood was shed, and a lot of white people, a lot of white soldiers died in that war, they did not purify the land. All right, so you're dealing with your spirituality. You have to know. You can't take it halfway. You have to go all the way and deal with it. And voodoo is not something evil. Okay, it's a science. They demonize our religion because they know how invincible it is. They know how powerful it is, so they don't want you to pick up that weapon. They don't want you to pick up that tool. Okay? You can income. You're dealing with your health, you're dealing with war, you're dealing with your marriage, you're dealing with family, you're dealing with health, whatever it is, that spirituality comes into play. So we need to study this. It doesn't make sense. Many Black people, we say, oh, African people had such high civilization. We were able to exist. We had civilization for over 103,000 years. And we boast to other people about our civilizations. But yet, we cannot today, if we want to accomplish what our ancient Black ancestors were able to accomplish, and accomplish we did, because ancient Egypt was able to keep off over 10,000 years of invasions from white barbarians. Nobody could tell me any nation on this earth today that was able to have such a feat, to keep off over 10,000 years of invasions. We could have gone down into the northern tundras of the earth and wiped white people off the planet because they kept invading us. But we didn't do that because we understood the purpose of evil, which is another topic that we need to deal with all by itself. What is the purpose of evil? All right? So it behooves us to study and to grasp and to learn what our ancient ancestors knew so that we could deal with all the problems that we face today. There's nothing under the sun that does not come under one aspect of our spirituality or another. And I hope people are understanding me very clearly. Okay? Sometimes I tend not to be understood. So we need to work on our health. We need to work on our finances. We need to work on our marriage. We need to work on our unity. We need to find out the rituals that we need to do to achieve these things. We cannot do things how white people do it. I hear talking about getting nuclear weapons in Africa. I hear people talking about we need a more powerful military. Yeah, every nation needs a military, but we don't have to do things the Western man. We don't have to spend billions of dollars on military. We need to find out how the Haitians did it. And the Haitians were at a great disadvantage. All these powerful European nations attack Haiti, and they got their heads cut off. They got their butts whooped. So we need to, there's no question about it. We need to get into our ancient Black spirituality. I don't want to say voodoo too much because people get scared of it, because we have been so conditioned to think that our ancient religion is something evil. But as I tell people, I don't know any voodoo that went into anybody's continent. Take 200 million people out of it and enslave them in another land far away in the West. I don't know any voodoo that did that, but I know Islam did. I know Christianity did. I know the Judaism did. I know caste system Hinduism did. But no voodoo has ever done that. So why is voodoo something evil? Why do we shun away from it? Because we have been programmed to think like that. So we need to get rid of that programming. And we need to start some classes in our spirituality. And as I said, the first step you can make towards our spiritual growth and development is the care of your physical body. And in particular, your brain, because your brain is the thing that controls everything else that happens in your life. Okay, and I can stop there for now because getting into other things will take us too long. And what I would like us to do is to start some classes in health and in our cosmogony as a whole, our spiritual cosmogony as a whole. We need to start classes in that, and we need to incorporate health to lead people in the direction to get out of this enslavement that we are in. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Brother Kafra Nkrumah, on your presentation to us on African spirituality. On Thursday, we had a session on health. We heard from our brother, I think Dr. Maha, I believe that was his name, from Kenya. And he spoke to us at length on health. And Brother Pigeon did a presentation also on health from the traditional African point of view. And it's interesting, you said that whilst you are talking about African spirituality, you're also focusing on health. So thank you very much. Later on, we'll have a discussion on these topics. So Brother Pigeon, has our third presenter arrived? The time is 7:45, right?
No, he might not be able to fully arrive here, but I will proceed.
Okay, so you want to do something on African politics, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, having a bit tried to participate in the politics in Africa, and try to get into the system, that many of us who are actually pushing for the revolutionary forces or revolution do not believe that there is any space in our so-called democratic systems in Africa as a means for change. So I actually participated in the process, tried to register a political party, even tried to run for the presidency in Kenya. And from my point of view, I'll try to give my input on whether African politics is liberated based also on my experience. I know we have some of us here who have experience in political organizations across different countries also as well. But analyzing African politics is what my interest is on. First is that the system that Africa takes to play its politics, the so-called democracy in most part of Africans, because I don't think we have more of any other means in some other parts of Africans, is actually not African in a way that it's put today, where they actually say that the majority party wins and that going to the ballot and voting makes change. We have cases in Africa whereby people say their votes never counted or doesn't count. We have cases whereby those who are not popularly elected become the winners. We have cases in Africa where countries actually complain after election that there's election rigging or there's influence of some other countries trying to impose some leader on the country or the people. Like now, that is very evident in some other countries that are preparing for election. And I think at the start of this year, we looked at analysis of the countries that are yet to do election in Africa this year. And therefore, for example, in Kenya, the ballot box or the ballot papers for the candidates were printed by a company in, where was it? Was it in Venezuela? So a company in Venezuela is the one that printed the ballot papers that are to be used for election in Kenya. That's the first thing that happened. It tells you clearly that that ballot boxes were not from Kenya. Secondly, you realize that the so-called international observers have to observe our elections and actually approve it whether it is transparent or not. Well, rarely do I hear Africans going to observe election in UK to say whether it was perfect or not. You go to an extra mile, you see that in our politics, for example, the leaders who are actually called leaders in different political positions or even the presidents, at the end of the day, still hold some loyalty to the West and easily accept either the terms from the West, like the IMF, the World Bank terms in Africa. So basically, it's very clear that even the leadership and the politics of Africa is still not yet liberated. But the worst of it is that the West, through various organizations, or the East, through various organizations, are even preparing what you call leadership building or leadership capacity for our younger generation. It means they're even tapping to actually hold captive even the next generation. We have so many of sponsored leadership trainings or democracy and the rest from Western organizations than any Pan-African leadership training for Africans sponsored by Pan-Africans. So our people go abroad to study leadership, to be to get a scholarship on organization to learn leadership abroad, then they come back to implement it, which actually shows you that they come back to implement the ideologies that they've been passed through in their training, just the same way like our militaries, who are being trained somewhere abroad or are trained locally by external forces. Now, furthermore, it's very clear that African politics, especially the so-called democratic politics today that we established as a system, and I think this one came also some of our previous sessions, that the problem is actually the system of how we appoint leadership. And it was very clear also from the presentation that was done to us by Brother Taiwo, that where there's no ethno-linguistic majority, or the countries with more ethno-linguistic majority actually are the countries that tend to be more united. Now the question becomes, where Africa has so many ethnicities in Africa, what is the system of politics that can unite us to have a united government? Because the so-called popular or the majority system on the so-called democracy might not actually accommodate or conducively accommodate all of Africans. For example, in the all of Africa, on some countries, the Bantus are the majority. So even if you have to unite Africa in terms of a United States or United Nations of Africa, and you use the democracy of the majority win, then it means the Bantus will be the leaders of Africa forever. And that goes to other extents If they're not, because the Bantus population in Africa is around about 30% or 40%. So it means they'll have to unite with another community or another nationality to control Africa. And that then lack of space in leadership position and in politics make other people who feel offended or who feel discriminated or alienated to actually repel against this. And this is what causes more post-election violence in each country in Africa after elections, where one ethnic group with the majority combined with the other ethnic group with the majority to ensure that they rule. The situation has happened in Kenya, for example, whereby for the last 60 years since independence, the Kenyan political leadership, especially the presidents and the rest, has only been controlled by the two communities out of the 47 communities in Kenya. And this has been the combination of one majority community combining with another majority community to produce a president and one person become a deputy. And in the next election, this community give back to the other community that was a president, and they alternated like that. The first president of Kenya came from a Kikuyu community. The second president came from a Kalenjin community. The third president came from a Kikuyu community. The fourth president came from a Kikuyu community. The fifth president now, Ruto, comes from a Kalenjin community. Now, that system then makes sure that many people or other ethno-linguistic communities do not actually get a space into controlling the affairs or the leadership of their country. What do they tend to do? They either tend to divide a country or secede to form more small countries, or rebel, or even cause conflict within the country that then end up killing many of our people. So to my summary of my thinking and my view is that the politics of Africa is not yet liberated, because the political system we take and use in our politics do not take into account our difference in terms of our culture or our diversity and even on numbers, that we are not actually equal or same in terms of our number of representation of our ethno-linguistics. So therefore, Africa needs to look for a system that will take into consideration its variety of cultural diversity and everything else, then ensure that everybody is actually harmonized and everybody is united in order to prosper as a continent. And the external forces in terms of our politics, like the ballot boxes, the election observers, the training of leadership, must now be internally if you have to save the continent. Thank you. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Thank you, Brother Pigeon, for your presentation on Shirin is coming. Yeah, thank you for your presentation of African politics. We will all have noticed that apart from Brother Nkrumah Kafra, who presented on spirituality, Brother Pigeon has presented on the military and also on African politics. On this, in this meeting are 20 of us. And I mention this because our people say that when the work is shared, the load becomes lighter. There are Africans who are doing no work at all. All they do is talk and talk and talk and talk. When it comes to doing the work, they are nowhere to be found. We can't get Africans, ordinary Africans, I mean, to do basic research on any issue. You know, the work for the liberation, unification, development of Africa has just been left for a few people to do. Okay, and that is not right. That is not right. So if you are here and you want to be part of the work, not just the talk, but you want to help work and get the continent moving, because remember that it is action that changes the world. You know, the world is going to be changed by preaching a good message. Okay, the world will not be changed by having conferences, you know, and talk shows. The world will be changed by action, because even when you change people's minds, they will only effect change if they act. And that is why Nkrumah said that organization decides everything. And yet, a lot of us are just hangers on. We don't do any work. Even when it comes to contributing to the work, we hardly do anything. We keep our money to ourselves. We keep our thinking to ourselves. We keep our resources to ourselves. We keep our salary to ourselves. We keep our houses to ourselves. We only think about ourselves and our immediate family, and we don't think about the nation. we become individualized to the extent that the African woman is crying for help, and a lot of Africans, and I'm talking here about the educated class, because the educated Africans are the key Africans who are supposed to account to the nationalities for the tools that they have acquired, and yet it's the educated Africans who, above all else, are the most selfish. They keep the money to themselves, they keep the resources to themselves. When they go and learn, they only think about how they can advance their careers with their knowledge and their skills and their experience, and then when we are old and can't do anything anymore, and then we retire to Africa, or we retire to the village, or we retire, and maybe some of us are even buried in the village. But we've given all our strength to the enemy, quote unquote. Anyway, all to say that Brother Pigeon has done 2 presentations because nobody else is coming forward to help with some of these research, so that we can get things done. Africa Liberation Day comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. We meet, we talk, and then we don't set any goals. So come the next African Liberation Day, we are still talking. We haven't set any goals. We are not even looking, okay, what did we set to achieve? Why haven't we achieved it? And so on and so forth. Remember, I am the chief culprit here. When I'm saying all this, I am the chief culprit. In other words, I am speaking about myself as well, because we live in the West, and sometimes we forget about our brothers and sisters on the continent, and we don't help them, we don't support them, and so on. Anyway, African Liberation Day. Have we been liberated? What we've had over the last 2 days, including today, is that we haven't been liberated. When it comes to economics, we haven't been liberated. When it comes to education, we haven't been liberated. When it comes to health, we have not been liberated. When it comes to the military, we haven't been liberated. When it comes to, we are yet to hear, Brother Pigeon has talked about the military, we haven't been educated. Economics, we haven't been educated. Even spirituality, that Africans, pride themselves on so much. There is a passage in Constantism that says that in Africa, we are regarded as spiritual beings. This is a statement in Constantism, and we'll come across it later for those of us who attend the Thursday classes. That in Africa, we regard the human being as a spiritual being. That has a lot. In other words, we are not animals. If you ask the African, are you a cow? He said, no, I'm not a cow. African, are you an animal in the bush? He said, no, I'm not an animal in the bush. African, are you a fish in the sea? He said, no, I'm not a fish in the sea. African, are you a bird that flies? No, I'm not a bird that flies. So who are you, African? He said, I am Sugbolisa. I am that which has existed, exists, and will ever forever exist. I am Ametebe, and so on and so forth. In other words, we say we are spiritual beings. The Zimbabweans have or Huhuism. Africans, we in Ghana also have Huhuism. The Akans have So, okay, so we say we are spiritual beings, but even when it comes to spirituality, we are nowhere to be seen. So the conclusion is that we have met here in African Liberation Day again, 2024, in Nkrumah passed away in 1972. We are still meeting on African Liberation Day, celebrating our liberation, and yet the conclusion for all our presentations, including our own brother Nkrumah, is that we are not liberated. So when shall we be liberated? African, oh African, when will you be liberated? When? When? So that is the discussion. So the time is now 8 o'clock. Brother Pigeon has the African anthem on the screen. We're going to listen to the African Union anthem. Some think it's a dirge, some think it's a hymn, some think it's not good, but that's what we have. Let's sing it. Those of you who don't think it's a good anthem, please, can you help create a new one so that we can start playing that as well? So we're going to open the floor and we're going to listen to everyone. Some of you have a habit of going into meeting, you say nothing. In CSG, everybody shares their thinking. No one here is going to come here and not say anything. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you are highly educated, uneducated, whether you're a male, you're a female, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a child. You know, the African position is that even children can contribute to nation building. You know, when we meet as Africans, we give room for even children to share their thinking, because that is the African position. Because we believe that sometimes adults are reborn as children. So when you see children in our midst, sometimes they are just adults who have come back to us. And so they have a lot of wisdom they can share with us. So we're going to hear everyone in this group. Everyone. I have how many people? We've got 22 of us. We will listen to everyone, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes each. Let's hear from everyone. Okay, we don't want anyone to be a free rider. You just come here, you listen, you don't share anything. We don't know what is in your mind. We don't know what you are thinking. You go away with all that jewel, all that riches that is in your soul, your mind. You just live with it. You don't share it with others, brothers and sisters. No, no. African Liberation Day, we shall hear from everyone. So let's hear the anthem, and then we'll open the floor. And Brother Pigeon, let's hear.
Yeah. Before I share this core anthem, the reason why I'm sharing it is the word that it speaks to us. Does it resonate with us? And what is the call on those messages? That's the reason.
It does. And please, what Brother Pigeon is saying is that listen to the lyrics. The lyrics, I know some of us, that includes myself, some songs I just love the rhythm, because I'm an African. I have melanin. Therefore, when I hear rhythm, my soul moves, my body moves. I come from the land of Agbaja. Agbaja is a song where you move your body in rhythm with the universe. I don't know whether you know about that song, that music, you know, that Agbaja music. It's played, and the rhythm is a rhythm that used to be called the music of the spheres. We know all these things, and Brother Nkrumah keeps reminding us.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bonds that frame our destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for lasting peace and justice on earth. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and join together to give the best we have to Africa, the cradle of mankind, the font of culture, our pride and hope at break of dawn. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life.
Make Africa the tree of life. I hope we don't have parasites on this tree, so that those who grew the tree are not fed by the tree of life. And then you have other people feeding on the fruits of the tree. And then the children of the tree growers and the tree planters and those who look after the tree themselves are not fed and looked after. We hope that will not happen. The floor is now open. We're going to hear from everyone. When I was a child growing up in Ghana, there was a group, a guy called Kakapwepwe. Kakapwepwe was a very short person. And in that group, they had a very short person, had a very tall person. And the song they sang meant that if you are short, there is something for you to do. If you're also very tall, there is something for you to do. There is something for everyone to do. That was the message that came from that song with this gentleman in it called Kakapwepwe or Kakapwepwe. Kakapwepwe was a very, very short person, almost like a dwarf. And yet, according to the song, even the dwarf had his or her role to play in nation building. So the floor is now open, and I will try and chair it for half an hour, and then Brother Pigeon will also chair for half an hour, so that we don't have just one voice. Yeah, we've asked and asked. So we need sisters to chair. Sisters, all we ask is sisters. Please come and help chair. We don't get them. We have begged and begged and begged and begged, and we still don't get seated. Yeah, we have sisters attending this meeting. We have sisters attending our Thursday meetings. Why can't we get one sister to chair meetings? Why? Why? Please, sisters, come forward and help chair these meetings. It's good to hear the male voice and the female voice. It's part of our duality. It's part of our dualism. God is, in the Ghana language, it's called Atana Nyongo, meaning God is both male and female. Please come forward. Let's have a female voice and a male voice in these our meetings, and not just me, not just by that pigeon only, just talking and sharing all the time. Thank you very much. So the floor is open. I'm going to go and call everyone. Some people have already left because they don't want to talk. So 2 people have left. So I'm going to call everyone to talk. We want to hear from everyone. Let's start with Brother. So I'm saying that you don't need to raise your hand because I will call you anyway. Yeah. So let's start with Brother Taiwo.
Yeah, thank you, comrade. And I also want to thank Brother Piggin and Brother Nkrumah for taking the time to put the presentation together and for enlightening us. I wanted to note some observation in a couple of the presentations. There's an allusion to the Bantu language groups or the being sort of perhaps united. And I know that the Yoruba language, the Igbo language, and the Akan language, the first 2 belong to Nigeria. Akan is from Ghana. They are both Niger-Congo languages. But I know for a fact that they're not united. And at least I can cite examples that in Nigeria, there is a sort of political conflict between Yorubas and Igbo. And these conflicts tend to arise much more forcefully around election time. The last election that Nigeria had that was conducted in February 2023, there were 3 major candidates. One was Yoruba, one was Igbo, Peter Obi. The Yoruba was Tinubu. The Fulani was Atiku. And I know for a fact that there was tremendous upheaval and conflict, especially between Igbo youths and even older people. And, I guess the Yoruba candidate. To this day, there's a lot of conflict on the social media between Igbo youths and Yoruba youths. And so ordinarily, when there's no elections around, they all go about their business. They've intermarried, they have strong friendships, business partnerships. So I just want to point that out. These are both Niger-Congo languages. Now, neither the Yoruba nor the Igbo, as far as I know, have any conflict with the Akan people in Ghana. And I would at least raise the prospect that that's probably because there is no competition for power between the Akan and the Yoruba, or between the Akan and the Igbo. So I just want to point out that the idea that because languages belong to the same family, they're united, it's not true. And at least I've cited evidence for that. So I think we should sort of revise our assumptions around that. Then the other one I wanted to point out is the notion that because Africa has a large population, over 1 billion, then if we were to have one military, then we would be formidable. And I would note that if that were true, Nigeria has over 200 million people. I went to a website to do some analysis in a hypothetical military conflict between Nigeria, having over 200 million population, and Germany. Germany's population is about 85 million, just slightly over 80 million. Well, the website did say that because Germans are better trained, they have more advanced weaponry, they probably also, of course, they manufacture their own weapons. They would actually, in a hypothetical match, defeat Nigeria, yet they have a smaller population. I did the same comparison between Nigeria and Israel. Nigeria is about 20 times the population of Israel. For the same reason as Germany, better training for Israelis, they manufacture their own weapons. They also, of course, get support from United States and all that stuff. Even without Americans being involved in a conflict, Israel is predicted to beat Nigeria. So we have to ask ourselves, what do Germany and Israel have going for them such that even with smaller population, in a hypothetical matchup, they will defeat Nigeria with a larger population? So I just want to say that we should look at those ingredients. Population, of course, is important. It's a key advantage, but it's by no means the only thing you need. So if we're assuming that Africa would have one military that will be performant, we have to look at Nigeria. Why is Nigeria not performant? So I just want to note these things and cause ourselves to interrogate much more deeply our assumptions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Taiwo, for your observation. Let's go to Sister Tapua. Sister Tapua?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please, just so you know, if I call you and you can't speak, by all means, please, you can ask us to pass. It's your right not to speak if you don't want to. You don't have to if you don't want to or can't because of where you are. You may not be able to speak because of where you are. That's okay. Just tell us to pass. But we will assume that everyone here can speak, has a right to speak, and is ready to speak. Thank you. Sister Pua.
Right. Yes. Thank you very much. Happy Africa Day, everyone. Happy Africa Liberation Day, everyone. I think I've been wanting to make several comments on a few of the things that people have contributed. But I'm going to start with the comment that's just been made by the brother who's spoken.
Sister Tapua. Just hold on a moment. This is also to everybody else. Because there are about 21 of us on the call, excluding myself and Brother Pigeon, I know you all have comments to make, but not everyone. Could we perhaps make the most important comment that we want to make? And then when we go on one round and then we come out to the next round, we can then make other, in your view, less important comments. But can you go for the one thing that you really are dying to share with us from all that you've heard or haven't heard? Thank you.
Okay. I think the most important thing that I think we need to come up with is going beyond looking at research or participating in research as doing things. I think we need to come up with action, actual concrete action that's going to happen on the ground in the different countries that we are in. So, for example, I'm one person who's just moved back from Europe after 20-something years, and I'm trying to find my feet in Africa. I deliberately came back because I wanted to come back whilst I was still able to do something. And I just felt
where are you based, Sister Tapua?
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. Okay, carry
Right.
on. Thank you.
So my idea and my hope was that we would be able to get people to get together to start maybe around education, around our youths, to do certain things that we can make a concerted effort around. So, for example, so that when we meet next year on Africa Day, we're going to be saying, from the discussions that we had or the papers that we presented, this is what we worked out. This is what this group has been working on. This is what is happening in Nigeria with regards to that. This is what's happening in Zimbabwe. This is so that we start something. That's my point, because I think I've written in the comment section that there's fire today. I mean, you're telling us that we have not been doing anything. So, and I've heard you loud and clear. I think that's where we need to go. Thank you very much.
Satapua, that includes myself, though. Yeah.
Yes.
The fact that the rice is not cooked means the rice is not cooked. If
Yes.
somebody is cooking the rice, why is the rice not cooked? I mean, that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Since 1966, when it comes of our throat, we're now in 2024. We are still talking. We are still making observations. When other people do research, we say, well, the research is not good enough. Other people do research, we say, well, I'm not referring to what you said, Sister Tapua. We are saying, well, I think people are making this assumption, that assumption, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what do you propose? So, Africa liberation, let's propose some actions then. Why not? Why not?
Yes.
Anyway, so thank you, Sister Sapua. Let's now go to Brother Joseph.
Oh, hello, are you hearing me?
We can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay. And first, again, I want to reiterate what I said on Thursday. I don't think that we give enough attention to the whole issue of health. I know there's a rationale that we didn't have time, but I think even when after...
Sorry, Brother Joseph.
No,
Hold on. No, it's fine. Hold on, I want to ask a question. You said about Thursday. What about Thursdays? Oh, you mean this past Thursday?
Yeah, this past Thursday.
Yeah, brother, we had 2 hours for three presentations.
But let me just finish talk, Brother Kwame. What I'm saying is that when the first presentation was done on education, a fair amount of time was given to discuss it. When it came to health, to me, little time was given or no time was given for other people other than the presenters. But so I'm saying that because there are aspects that I don't think was covered. Like I tried to mention about the maternity situation in the United States among Black African Americans who are losing the capacity to do midwifery because the rules that are applying to them. Anyway, my contribution for today is that
Brother Joseph, before you carry on, is it okay if we set aside a Saturday to, if you like, pick up on the undiscussed issues that we would like to talk about from the ALD? Would that be okay?
Yes, I mean, we should always continue to talk, you know. I mean,
excellent.
In fact, one of the aspects of education that wasn't brought up on Thursday was the whole role of dialogue. One of the ways the African passed on knowledge or like got to know each other is dialogue. Sometimes even forgetting that they didn't even eat, but they would dialogue until these things are resolved. Anyway, my contribution for today is that I think sometimes we look out with the open eyes. So we think about military, we think about education, we think in dichotomously. But we have to begin to understand why we are thinking like that way. A lot of it has to do with the language, and I posted a quotation on language, the effect on language on us. So if you understand that and begin to see life holistically, so that a lot of the conversation we have sometimes, to me, I think sometimes is not necessary. I'm not saying that it's worthless, but because if we become more strategic in how we utilize our time and thinking, then we could probably help advance each other. I'm on part of a virtual library, and when I see the requests people make, I don't think we really liberating ourselves enough, because some of the same capitalistic, Christianized, brainwashing stuff that people will request. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it means there's a lot. We have a long way to go, long way to go. So in terms of military, I don't think we should even contemplate on that, because already it means if you want to compete military, you have to think about nuclear and that kind of thing. I don't think we should go down that way. So we should have basic defense stuff. And I think about Costa Rica, who years ago decided that they were not going to have an army. No one have invaded them, although probably the capitalists have captured the state. But at the same time, we could move towards a situation where instead of thinking about war, we think about peace and promote, like some tribes, like some groups in Africa does, train their people to be peaceful among themselves. And if you're peaceful among yourself, you'll be peaceful among your neighbor.
Thank you, Brother Joseph. So I think that's your most important presentation, yeah, or discussion. Yeah.
Well, later on, I will talk on the politics and
yeah, of course. I did say let's pick your most important contribution for today, because we want to hear from everyone.
Yeah.
Can I draw to your attention, audience, that the purpose of the presentation on the military was not to say that Africa should today have one military. Remember, the point of that presentation was to say that given our situation, we have 55 governments with 55 separate military, all amounting to 10 million. Isn't that a waste of resources? That is a point of that presentation. It's not about saying that we must have one military today. It's also about the fact that if we were to have a continental government, then it follows that we'll have a continental army. On the question of dialogue, are the Yorubas and the Igbos really talking? Even on the question of politics, at the nationality to nationality level, are they dialoguing, as Brother Joseph has mentioned? In terms of politics, are they dialoguing? Are the chiefs of the Igbo people and the chiefs of the Yorubas, do they sit down and talk and tell their children to behave and call them to order? Do they? I don't know. So there is no assumption that because we do research on the ethnicities and say that the Bantus are the majority, there's no assumption that they are united. I don't think Brother PG made any such assumption that just because you and I come from the same family, therefore we talk. There are families where they don't even have unity in the same family, even the same family unit. They don't have unity. I never mind a broad nationality group or two separate nationality groups. So I don't think people should read assumptions into the research that we are making. Anyway, we need to hear from everyone. We've heard from Brother Taiwo, Brother Sister Tapua, Brother Joseph. Now let's go to, so I'm going male, female, male, female. So I'll go to Sister Myra. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I learned this from GDC UK, and Brother Glenroy is here. He is the one that, if you like, mentored me when it comes to these sort of things, having in an organizational context, making sure that males speak and females speak, having positions for both males and females, which is why we are asking for a chair for Constance, who is a woman. Thank you. Sister Mara, let's hear from you, please. Remember, your most important point you want to make, so we can hear from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So my most important point comes of what Elder Kwame said about action, and also a little bit about what our Sister Tapua said. So absolutely, I'm all for action. Myself, I live in the UK, but I've been seriously considering moving back to the motherland. I'm training to be a therapist, and I want to specialize in African praxis and application of mental health. But at the end of that, I also I'm really passionate about education. That's why I like the contributions that Satapua makes. Maybe we could connect one day. I'm all for action. It would be nice if we have a little, my dream, let's say my dream right now, if we had a little Conscientism center in Africa, where I'm one of the facilitators, and we have our brothers and sisters contributing, and we're teaching. Absolutely, Elder Kwame. Action, there's things we can do, things can get off the ground, set up facility again. If we can move towards that direction, and I've said to a few people, I think education is one of the things that we can see changed in Africa in our lifetimes. As I said, I'm passionate about that, and we can, if we all put our heads to it. And also, Elder Kwame, I think it doesn't take a whole, it won't take a whole continent. It can just be a few of us that are ready to put our lives on the line, to go down the ground. I'm one of them. I've said it in front of everyone, and I will speak to my word, I will leave my word. I'm one of them. And we can just start something, start small, start institutions. Just let's get together people that are ready to do that, and we'll just move. That's my most important thing to say.
Thank you very much. Straight to the point. We love you, Sister Myra. Right, let's go to Brother Sean. Please, may I remind us all, we will ask everyone to speak. So you don't need to raise your hand. I'll be handing over the chairing to Brother Pidgey in a few minutes, and we will let everyone speak. Hence, we are asking everyone to go for the most important contribution. Brother Sean Motunmore, or Motunmora, I hope I pronounced your name right. If not, forgive me. I'm only human after all. Yes, Sean. Is Sean not ready? Okay, Sean is not ready. So let's go to Brother Russ. Brother Russ. Brother Russ, ready? Okay, Brother Russ. So let's go to Sister Ida. Sorry, Sister Ida, hold on. Let's go to Brother Martin, please. Martin Felix. Brother Martin, unmute yourself, please. Thank you. And share with us your thoughts on the presentations for today on the military. Yeah, Brother Felix Martin. Okay, not ready. Let's go to Mafole Samatiani, please. Unmute yourself, please, and share with us your thoughts on what has been shared so far. Thank you. Mafole Samatiani. Okay, not ready. So we'll go to Mankuyo Saya Miski. I hope I pronounce it right. Brother Mankuyo. Thank you. Okay, Brother Mankuyo, just hold on, please. I think Mafole has unmuted himself or herself. Mafole, are you him or her, please? I don't know, so please forgive me.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm both.
Oh, you are both.
Yeah, I'm human.
So, are you both Manfole and Makuyo?
No, Mafole.
You are okay. Mafole, you speak first, and then Brother Mankuyo will speak after you.
Okay. I may not talk particularly about the military. I'm grateful for
talk about whatever you like
that were made. Yeah, I'm for action. Yes, and the action that I'm into is working on getting Africa to unite, dealing with the obstacles to our unity, and getting us to work on being more productive. And to that extent, I have been. I think I've also had an opportunity, and thank you very much to Conscientism. I've had an opportunity to make 2 presentations here on this platform on how to build unity, how to unlock our own minds that a brother also talked about here that our minds need to be open. You know, he was coming from the spirituality perspective, but it's all related because we are all human, and everything that we do starts in our minds. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, that I think we need to act as everybody, other people have been saying, and that's what I mean. Running processes here, and I'm quite willing to share the results of the research I made. I know people talked about it's not enough. You, chairperson, talked about research is not enough. Yeah, it's not enough. I've researched, and out of that, I've developed social healing programs. So there is something that I think we can do that will help us to liberate ourselves, liberate our minds, and liberate our fellow Africans.
Excellent. No, thank you very much for that. Brother PG will get in touch with you if he hasn't already, so that we can get you as part of the unification agenda, because the purpose of the Saturdays are exactly for us to have a conversation around unification. So thank you very much, Brother Mafole. Brother PG, I believe you have noted that, yeah? Okay. So we've heard from Brother Manfole. Before we hear from Brother Mankuyo, let's hear from a sister. So let's ask Sister Shireen to share, please. Thank you. Sister Shireen, are you able to talk now?
Yeah, I'm here. I must apologize to the group for not being.
Yeah, we haven't seen it for a long time, Brother Shireen. We hope you're okay and well, and
yeah,
and
it's been a long
excellent
time.
spirits wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you just, because it has been a long time, just explain to me what I need to contribute right now?
All right. Oh, we heard from on three different areas of ALD today. We heard on the military. We also heard on the African politics, and we also heard on African spirituality. So feel free to speak on any of those three.
Okay.
Just choose your
I came in a bit late,
most important topic. Sorry?
I came in a bit late, so I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. In that case, listen more to what others have to say. You can come back later. Okay. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. Okay. In that case, let Sister Ida now speak, and then we'll come to Brother Mo. Sister Ida. Thank you.
Sorry. What would I like to say? I'd like to say that I think what Brother Tayo said about Israel and Germany, it struck me that it's because they have more advanced artificial intelligence and can do things like think of nuclear and stuff like that. So that's probably why they seem a lot more, even though there are more people in Nigeria or a bigger army. That's probably why they just think they're invincible, because they seem to have links all over the world, which is not always the case with African armies. What else can I say?
Can I ask you a question as you're on this topic? Nigeria is how many millions of people?
Couldn't tell you, but I know it's probably
200 million plus. Yeah. And how many are Palestinians? 7 million. Israel, with all its military, can't defeat Hamas in Palestine. And yet, Brother Tai wants us to believe that Israel can defeat Nigeria.
Yes. Oh, I don't think that's particularly fair, Brother Kwame. Oh, go on,
no,
Brother Pidgey.
I am just asking, as you are speaking on this topic, because Brother Taiwo made it clear that he thinks that Israel can defeat Nigeria. And remember, Israel gets its bombs not from Israel, but from Europe and from America. All the bombs that Israel is dropping on Palestinians, it's getting from America. But I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong about that I was right or wrong. I'm just saying that I find it interesting that Israel, who cannot defeat Hamas in Palestine, can defeat the entire Nigeria in warfare. But anyway, that's a different argument. But anyway,
It is very different because
Decide, are you finished what you want to say, and then we'll
Brother Pigeons keeps wanting to say
yeah,
something.
Brother Pigeon, come in, yes.
I think there's something that is misconstrued by Brother Taiwo's reaction to what I presented.
I think so too, but there's no point to respond to that
what
now.
I wanted to elaborate is,
yeah,
I've talked of the military investment. So despite of Nigeria having more number of military officers, their military investment do not actually outmatch the military investment of Israel or any other country. And I stated clearly that despite China having 3 million military officers, the investment per year is only $200 billion, while US that has only 1 million officers invest $760 billion. So it is not even about the number of the soldiers, but the investment. And that's why I said that all of Africa invest in their military personnel or power only $39.1 billion, while the whole world invests $2.2 trillion. So that clearly tells you it's about the investment in terms of the resources. So even if you were to unite the whole Africa with 10 million military officers, without proper investment, because UK alone invests $50 billion, UK alone, which is way above the whole total investment Africa makes for their military.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you for that clarification. Let's Sister Ida finish. Sister Ida, can you finish what you are saying, and then we'll move on?
Yes. In fact, I'm sorry, you stirred me up a bit because I don't think that you can.
I'm glad I stirred you up.
I don't think you can compare Hamas and Israel. I mean, because they might not be able to actually wipe out Hamas in normal times, but look at what they've done now. So I don't think it's. In fact, it's quite an annoying comparison. But let me move on.
It doesn't mean it's not true. They haven't been able to. They can't. The position of all the experts is that they cannot defeat Hamas. So I'm not saying anything that is unusual. Anyway,
well, I expect you can't.
If you can stir up, make your point so that we can move on.
You're the one stirring it. Sorry. Anyway, I'll move on.
Okay.
Brother Nkrumah, I didn't feel that my thing would be I didn't understand. He didn't really tell us enough about his African spirituality.
I agree. He told us that it's there, it can be used, but he didn't tell us what it was. I accept that.
Yes. So I felt
we are hoping that he will do a presentation where he will tell us the content. He will share with us the content of African spirituality, which apparently is about character building. See, so the problem we have on the continent is that our leaders, the liberal conservative leaders, are criminals, and so they don't have the right character, and that's what the problem is. So anyway, the time is 38 past 8. We've had 11 people who have been asked to speak, and so there is half of us still to go. So I'll hand over to Brother Pigeon so that he can all those.
Well, I want to finish what I'm saying.
Right, so,
sorry.
Between the two. So you finish, and then Brother Pigeon will pick this.
Okay. The one I really thought we should gave us a chance to pick up about doing something was Sister Tapoa, and I thought that that's important because even on the last talk, I was saying we should do something, and I was saying we should publish. But I think it is something that we should take up and not just say, "Oh, what did we do last year?" Because we won't remember it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I like that part. We agreed on something to be done in last meeting. Nobody come in to help on mobilizing that moving forward. We requested people to even participate in presentation. Nobody come in to show indication that they want to present in any area. Even the resolutions we'll make today and say we'll work on it. If nobody come forth to try and participate in its implementation, it will still remain a resolution. So yes, it's very important on that aspect to be noted. Brother Coco?
Yeah. Brother Pigeon, just so you know, we hear from woman, man, male, female that way, yeah? So that we get the
Brother
balance.
Coco, thank you for that.
Of all the voices. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am again humbled or honored to be in this space. I think, Brother Kwame, you have met our esteemed comrade, Mafule, before in one of the sessions we ran, and he spoke the last when most of us had left. But he is for healing, as he rightly said. And he's a man of few words. So because he hasn't really explained himself fully, I would like to say to all of us who are here that we do have a program which we are looking to launch in the next few weeks with 20 participants, in which Professor Mafule will be taking people to the social healing to deal with trauma, to deal with fear, which is one thing which is holding lots and lots of us back. We are asking for action now. It is not happening because we have lots and lots of stuff which we sort of use as excuses not to move. All right. So, Sister Tapua, I think we started to talk, but we didn't go far. I will get in touch with you and make sure we take this forward. So today it was interesting for me. It is supposed to be Africa Unity Day. I went out. My daughter is her birthday today as well. Sometimes, I mean, it's the first time that she has had a birthday on her own without her parents. But I took an opportunity to discuss with my wife, who is well traveled within Africa, to sort of find out why we are not uniting. And she made some interesting observations that those of fiefdoms, we already know about elitism. We know about fiefdoms. It's about all of those ruling parties who want to continue with the status quo. They want to continue exploiting, want to continue enjoying whatever it is that they enjoy at the expense of the Africans. And again, I would like to remind the Africans all here that the power belongs to us, not to the ruling parties. No, it's not. And the minute we remember that, we recall that, then we will take our power back. Military or no military, all of those things will not happen until we are liberated mentally. And I think that's where my professor comes in place, to liberate us mentally, decolonization. We need to decolonize as Africans. We are not going to use the foreign Western systems that were used to enslave us to liberate or emancipate ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister Shasha? Shanda. Yes.
Hello. Greetings. Did you just call my name?
Yes, I called your name, and
okay.
To say you are thinking on this day, please.
Right. I agree with the spirituality. I think that's really important. Also, I think the misleaders, they need to be gotten rid of, including the African borders. That needs to go as well. I think the entire education system needs to be eradicated and replaced with a Pan-African ethos. So yeah, that's me. I'm not sure about the military. What were you saying about the military? Because I've missed all of that.
No, probably on the military, you are assessing the military is liberated or not liberated, and what need to be done. So we are checking on their findings and their foreign military bases in Africa that indicated that our military is not yet liberated.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Ngwambe.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the floor to speak. And I'm glad to hear that you actually pronounced my name correctly. So greetings to everyone. All these three topics are all equally important, if you ask me. Because if you look at, like, I'll start with the religious aspect. If you look at the way the Europeans, when they were coming to Africa, what did they come with? They came with their religion, and with their religion came behind it with a kind of superiority complex, because they said that they were coming to Africa to evangelize us because we were backwards, we were believing in heathen religion, et cetera, et cetera. And so you realize that they had to subjugate our minds and all those types of things. So the religious aspect is very important for us to figure out, so that we can refocus us as Black people at the center of our understanding of who we are in this world, so that we don't betray each other for outsiders, meaning non-Africans. So this is very important. And mind you, when they were coming with the religion, that's where the military aspect of it comes into play. And that's why the military aspect is also very important. And one thing I'd like to point out about the military aspect is that I heard my brother who was explaining it, and he was talking about some of the things about Germany producing its own weapons and all these other countries producing their own weapons. There is no country in this world where you want to be a military power and you don't produce your own military weapons. If Africans don't, or if African countries in particular, let me go to the micro level, if you don't figure out how you're going to produce your own military weapons, funding the production of your own military weapons, investing in the experimentation and the research to develop your own military weapons, you're never going to be able to have a strong military. And the most important reason why you want to have a strong military is so that you can protect your political system and you can protect your people from the influence and the manipulations of other countries that have stronger militaries on you, who can impose embargoes on you, and who can replace your governments, who will be more tolerant to their economic policies. So that's how the military aspect is very important. And again, you have to invest in it. African governments have to invest in it, and maybe they even need to consider liberalizing the military research. For example, in the United States of America, where I live, you are able to take courses on how to build guns, and you can buy the equipment, meaning like the lathes and all that type of stuff, and you can build your own guns. And if you end up being able to produce your own type of gun in the private sector that is effective enough, that is efficient enough, you can begin to figure out how you want to market it to the national government. And if the national government invests in what you are producing, that creates a homegrown industry that the national government can buy from, as opposed to buying from outside. So that is, I just wanted to bring that up so we think about that. And then finally, this governance issue. On this governance issue, I think the issue where democracy has probably messed us, has a perception by some of us that democracy is not good, is this issue of presidential democracies. I don't really like presidential democracies, even though I live in the United States of America, and you would think that I would like presidential. I don't like presidential democracies. I prefer parliamentary democracies, especially the European style of parliamentary democracy, where you can have multi-parties that reflect, the granular levels of the way people are thinking, and you would find a way to allow some of those parties to be a part of the system, and then their approach gets brought in. So we need to figure out how to adopt parliamentary democracy into our system and shift away from these presidential systems, which is what is promoting all this stealing and corruption and all that type of stuff. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Masha? Dr.
Hello,
Masha?
sorry, I had to unmute myself. So I am hearing what you're saying. So I was invited to present something on health, and honestly, I did prepare the presentation, but I thought the presentation was going to be today because
Can you talk a little louder, please?
Thursday at the time that this meeting is, I'm teaching. So I thought it was going to be today that I was going to present. So it's not for the lack of wanting to engage. It's just, that I think people have to kind of manage, capacity. A lot of us are doing a lot of things. And I just want to say I am all for doing. And at the same time, I think that these study groups are a form of doing. As the speaker on spirituality said, and some of the other speakers too, a big part of the way that the dehumanization of Africans happened to turn them into slaves is that we have been brainwashed in a number of areas. And so study groups that help us to work through that and to be able to move past it, I think, have always been an important part of the Black radical tradition. So we have to do in terms of building and, shaping and all the things, but we also have to start to talk. I think the brother who spoke about spirituality today and who spoke about, spirituality as an important thing in making sure that we can bolster our families or relationships and that kind of thing, that those are important discussions that we have to talk about. So just to say, that this is a kind of doing as well.
Thank you, Dr. Masha. Something actually to look on that aspect of health, and also health from the angle of spirituality that Brother Kafra and Kroma is talking about. It's very important to see how they intertwine so that we can be able to have a framework moving forward. What is lacking is a framework for us moving forward. And I know if we bring our minds together, we can work on this. Let me get at Brother Mankuyo. Brother Mankuyo? Okay. Let me get at Brother Seun. Were you able to speak? Or Mankuyo?
Yes, I'm able to speak.
Now, are you in a good condition? The last time I know you fell off from a demonstration of doctors' workers and you were left somewhere there very hardly or badly injured. But hope you're okay now. Brother Mankuyo?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Proceed.
Yeah. Thank you. Revolutionary greeting and revolutionary salutation to you, everybody, to CSG comrades.
Brother Mankuyo, I think your system is having some problems. I'll come back to you because you are on, muted, unmuted, muted, unmuted.
He muted himself by error. That's what is happening here.
Okay. So can you hear me?
Proceed. We have actually 5 minutes remaining, so have some 1 to 2 minutes. Then Brother Glory will come in. Then I'll end with Brother Taiwo.
Yeah, thank you. Revolutionary greeting and revolutionary salutation to all CSG comrades. I greet in the name of our ancestors. I greet in the name of Africa. This is Africa Liberation Day. Today was on 25th May 2024. So I think everybody understand the roots or why we call it the day of the Africa Liberation Day. So the Africa Liberation Day, it was the day that the so-called AU was formed.
Brother Mankuyo, straight to your comments in regards to the topics you have shared today. What is your one comment on the military, politics, or spirituality? Just straight to the point.
Yeah, basically on the military, I can say what I can say on the military side. What I can say is that Africa should have one strong military system that will operate continental. There is no way that a nation, a continent that has several enemies from every corner, from every direction, east, south, central, and west, can survive without a strong military system. So basically, I really go with the idea by saying that Africa, there is no way. We are in the world of whereby the power is being grabbed militarily. So basically, there is no way that we can live without a military system, one military central system. So another thing is that about the spiritualism, I think it is now time for Africa to go back to the spiritualism period, to our own spirituality, to our own spirituality that our ancestors used to worship. So remember that we have lost almost everything. So our spiritualism is now being guided as evil or even demonic in some instance. You'll find that even you talk with somebody about how our ancestors used to pour libation, for example, how our ancestors used to worship. So they call it, maybe they call it sorcerers. They call you a sorcerer. So basically, we need to conscientize our people based on based on how our ancestors used to do. So that is the same thing. That is the same thing to to our skin. Basically, they say that our skin is dirtiness, so our culture is barbarism or archaic at the same time. So I think for Africa, we need to conscientize our people, and also we need to conscientize even the education that we are using. We need to tell the people that the education that we are using has been programmed in a Western way. So
Thank
that is
you.
my point of on spiritualism.
Oh, thank you. Just because of our time is almost up. Yes, as you tell our people that the education is Western education, what education are we providing to them? We need to give them an alternative, and it's us to work on that alternative. Brother Glenn, can you come in, please? And happy
as you know,
Liberation Day.
yeah, as you know, I joined late. Happy African Liberation Day to everyone, and I hope people will remember. There's no such thing as an Africa Day without the struggle of liberation. On the issue of the military, and I'll only comment on that one, is that, as a comrade from the US said, producing our own weapons is key to any idea of having a military. But then we need to be very clear about the purpose of the military is to protect the people. Too many times the military has been used or created simply for the purpose of conquest and war. So if we are to have a united African military and think of combining all the other military groups that exist on the continent, it's a task to say we will now not be thinking of invading other people's territory, but our job will be to defend African people across the continent and global African in the sense. If, for example, what the president of Kenya is doing was something in the interest of African people in other parts of the world, then obviously that would be a welcome thing, but we know it's not. So how we create a military whose purpose is protecting civilian, protecting African people is the task at hand. I don't have an answer to it, but if that's not on the foundation of any building of an African military, then we're just going to have a situation where people are breaking off, or indeed wars will be against ourselves. And that's not what it should be about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I think, Brother Pigeon, I'm very delighted because we have heard from everyone. And if we had said that we'll ask people to speak if they raise their hand, some of our brothers and sisters would never speak, because not everybody is comfortable with speaking in public or raising their hands and so on. So it's part of our support network. I know Brother Nkrumah and Brother Tai will have their hand up. Unfortunately, we run out of time. What I would suggest is that we have a third day of deliberation on ALD where we mop up. So next Saturday, we'll have our last ALD celebration day where we mop up on the things that haven't been said, like Brother Joseph has also pointed out. So it's 2 minutes to 9, and we'll bring this meeting to a close at 9 o'clock promptly. No African time, I'm afraid, and no informal session after this, I'm afraid. But I'd really love to hear from Sister Shireen before we bring the meeting to a close. Yeah, Brother Pigeon, get ready for any announcements before we stop the recording. Sister Shireen.
Yes, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, we want give us the last word for today. Anything you think? We've heard a lot. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of African spirituality, I think there's a lot of noise right now. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of the pressure's being ramped up, and I think that there needs to be a focus on African spirituality, along with just brothers and sisters being more supportive as well, because I find that we're lacking quite a bit of empathy, because we're getting, well, from my perspective, a lot of us are getting drawn into the noise of social media, and also the ramped up behaviors of the powers that be. if we allow ourselves, as always. So yeah, I think there just needs to be, I don't know, it's a lot of the good work is being drowned out by other fights of other, like for example, Gaza and Israel. You know, our fight is being pushed to the side continuously. And it's not to say that, you know, we don't support the what is going on, the genocide, and all of the problems that are going on. But I think in regards to us trying to stay focused on our own affairs, it's difficult. So we have to support each other more, was what I say.
Thank you very much. The
that
time
makes
is
some sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. The time is just coming to 21 minutes past 9. Brother Pigeon, any announcements?
Yes, Brother Kwame, thank you everybody who have joined us today. Indeed, we are moving beyond talks. And the next Saturday, as it has been proposed by Brother Kwame, we've covered 6 topics. We've covered economics, education, health, politics, military, and spirituality. In the next Africa Liberation Day that you're extending on Saturday, it should be an action-oriented session. So if you are discussing about spirituality, what's the template, what's the plan, and how do you call upon for us to join in to implement or come up with a plan if there's none? Because you need a plan and a program for implementation, and we from CSG will be able to support that. So that's what you're looking for, a type of conversation like that next Saturday. If you're coming from politics, what's the plan? If you're coming from other health, what's the plan, alternative plan, so that we can be actually action-oriented. And then throughout the year before the next Liberation Day, we see how much have we actually attained the plan. The same way we are running a technical working group, we can even have the same to assess our implementation strategy and what is needed. This coming Thursday, we are going back to our usual class for consciousness, and we invite members to join us. Actually, the link we shared today for you to join is the link for our Thursday classes. So if you've never joined our Thursday classes, the link you use today to join, you can save it somewhere. It's a link to our Thursday classes where we study our philosophy and ideology by Kwame Nkrumah. All the recordings for Thursday and Saturday today will be available by latest Monday, and they will be available on our YouTube recordings for your purpose and for your viewing. Thank you very much, Brother Kwame, and that's from my side.
Thank you. And so in the absence of any further business, we look forward to seeing you either on Thursday or Friday. Bye-bye, everyone.